but we spent so much time on set that we really bonded on set. We're cracking a lot of jokes and especially because the material's so heavy. I'm just really grateful for Pedro specifically for just keeping a real great amount of levity that was on set between a lot of the hard stuff that we had to do.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Movie Podcast. My name is Daniel. I am one of your hosts today, and joining alongside me are my fellow survivors, Anthony
Hello.
and Shahbaz.
Hey, how are you doing today? I don't know why I sounded so
I
robotic.
am.
Why do you
Doing
sound
so.
like
Yeah, you sound so
doll?
robotic. Yeah.
There's an infected person behind me with a gun. They're just like, keep talking.
Keep talking. Keep talking. It's a clicker. They'll get you.
Act casual. I'm like, well, first of all, for an infected, you're doing pretty good right now, you know?
Yeah, you speak pretty well. That's
Are you
pretty
sure you're
amazing. I mean, we
infected?
could work this out.
Yeah, I just have a cold. Oh, you just have a cold. Oh, okay. That's fine then.
Shay, start us off. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Clearly in a very fun, happy mood because we had a great conversation this morning with the person who I'm not going to say their name, even though you read the title of the episode. I'm still going to leave it up to Daniel to give us the goods, I'd say. But I'm doing great, man. Having a great day. I'm a little hot though in my sweater right now. I feel like maybe I overdressed for the video, but I think I gotta dress to impress sometimes.
You do, and I think for both of us, we're both repping some Canadian brands right now.
We
You're
are.
repping the Retro Kid with Reboot. I'm repping the Roots. So we're and our guest is Canadian today, so we're coming prepared with the Canadiana on the show today,
Right.
which is pretty great. Anthony, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just I'm here, just talking about Last of Us, and yeah, I don't have much to say. I don't know what you want. What else do you want me to say?
I want your date of birth. I want your blood type. I want anything you could give me. No, but it's great. This is fantastic. I mean, we've been talking about The Last of Us every single week. So if this is the first time you're listening to the Movie Podcast, please go check out all of the incredible after shows that we've been doing. Shay has been leading us through every single episode, week to week. Spoiler-filled after show that is available for you to listen to right now, whether you're on YouTube or if you're listening to us on all podcast services around the globe. There are lots of ways to listen to the Movie Podcast. And of course, as always, every single Monday, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast where we talk about the latest news, trailers, what we're watching, and so much more. We have a great episode out from earlier this week where we talk about all the Super Bowl trailers, what's going on with the Netflix sharing of the passwords, and all of that fun stuff. So make sure you tune in for all of that and more. We also have some incredible Ant-Man coverage going on. So we have our review and we have our interview with Catherine Newton, who plays Cassie Lang in the film. So there's lots to listen to this week and lots more coming. Of course, if you want to follow us on social media, make sure you do so at Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. We always have some great giveaways going on. And of course, we have lots of great videos of the interviews that we do here on the Movie Podcast. So if you want to see the interview for this very one that we're about to talk about right now, I don't know why I'm keeping it a secret. Today on the Movie Podcast, we are joined by Lamar Johnson. Lamar is an incredible actor who is in The Last of Us, which is a show that, of course, we all love so much. He plays Henry, and if you've played the games, you know what that story arc looks like. Of course, this is going to be a spoiler-filled discussion, so if you have not watched The Last of Us up to episode 5, just stop listening. Just get out of here. Close this video. Don't watch anymore because we don't want to spoil anything going on that's about to go on. So get out of here. Scat. Leave. And I want to say, of course, as always, all this month, we've been brought to you by our good friends at Manscaped. Check out our show notes below to use promo code MoviePod. Sorry. And, look at Shay showing off his beard right now. It's a beautiful beard right now. It's nicely groomed, nicely trimmed. Use promo code MoviePod to get 20% off and free shipping on your next order of Manscaped. So definitely do that. Shay, any other thoughts on Manscaped while we're here?
Look, I've praised them to the highest degree that I possibly can. Even if I, wasn't sponsored by them at this point, I think like, damn, they really impressed the hell out of me. I have never, people who have been watching our show for so long, they're like, this is a handsome man finally. Before they were like, who is that unkept hairy beast that they let record on this show? But now, I'm Manscaped.
I love it. We're all looking great. We're all looking very groomed. So please use promo code MoviePod, 20% off and free shipping. Now, of course, today we are joined by Lamar Johnson, who we are so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you to our friends at Crave Canada for making this happen for us. We have a great discussion. We had Lamar for 20 minutes, so we have a great, very lengthy discussion on everything that's happened on The Last of Us up till now. Before we get into our interview, Anthony, I just want to know quick thoughts on where we are in The Last of Us and where we are going. How are you feeling about heading into now week 6, episode 6 of The Last of Us on HBO?
You know, I don't think I have enough tears to give out anymore. I think I'm done with my ducts. My tear ducts are completely dried out.
Mhm.
I just can't cry anymore. I just can't, and I'm expecting to cry more and more. So I don't know what to do. But you know, The Last of Us has become one of like these cultural phenomenons that's happened around the world. People are enjoying it. People are loving it. They love everything about it. People are buying the games now. People are buying PlayStations so they can play the game. Like it's these moments that kind of grow and grow and grow, and they become these big, huge events. And I'm all for it. Like the last time I felt this way was Stranger Things, um, when you know that type of world opened you up to so many amazing things. And I hope Last of Us does that for us, and for everyone who's enjoyed it.
I love it. Shahbaz, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think the excitement that this show has brought. I mean, if you do have a PS5 for yourself, I've noticed a lot more people that on my friends list have been playing the game, and I think it's on sale right now too. You know, obviously depending on when this video is coming out, it might not be, but definitely check it out because if it's on sale, it's definitely worth that buy. And maybe if you want, you can play up until the moment that we're at with the show, and then you can kind of keep that suspense if you haven't played the game already. But if you have, you obviously know where the story is going, and I'm sure that you're also just in anticipation of where it can go and how it can be different in a way. Because I think one of the things that we talked about with Lamar was that even though he's playing a character we're so familiar with, that we've actually played with so often, there was still this new level of authenticity that we hadn't seen. And in a way, I still didn't see the Henry that I know. I got a whole new Henry that I fell in love with, and then also cried at the end with as well.
Definitely. So a little bit about Lamar Johnson before we dive in. Of course, he appeared in films like The Hate You Give. He was in the series Your Honor, which is a show that I really love so much. Anthony really loves a lot. He plays Kofi Jones, who is such a pivotal role in the show. If you watch Your Honor, you know exactly what goes on with Kofi Jones. So I definitely implore you to check out all of his previous work. And he's going to be in the film Brother, which premiered at TIFF last year, which we didn't get to watch, but we will be watching next month. So hopefully we'll get to talk to Lamar once again. So without further ado, please welcome to the movie podcast, Lamar Johnson. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us on the movie podcast today.
Yeah, of course, my pleasure.
You know, your performance in The Last of Us is so beautiful and deep and authentic, and we just want to say how much we loved it and how much we were moved by it. It's also great to talk to a fellow Canadian and Toronto man. So,
Yeah, Toronto Mavs. Yes, yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
of course, thank you. You know, The Last of Us has been such a gift every single week, and we've been anxiously waiting to get to the story of Henry and Sam. What's been your mindset leading up to the events of episode 5?
I mean, ultimately, I've been watching the show as a fan, if I'm being honest. You know, I mean, I was a big fan of the game, and I'm familiar with the game. So, you know, coming into this, I was sort of just like, wow, this is amazing to be a part of. But also, I'm going to be watching as a fan, you know, because I was only able to read episodes 4 and 5. I didn't read 1 through 9. So there's a lot that I still don't know, that I'm aware of, but I still don't know. You know, there's some changes and things that I was just unaware of. So I'm still watching as a fan. But yeah, I mean, just really anxious about it. You know, hoping that people kind of resonated with my performance in the episode and the relationship with Henry and Sam, because, you know, I know we built a really nice bond between one another. And I really just hope that it translated on screen and people felt that.
Yeah, no, you definitely do. I think in the short amount of time that we get you, it's the same in the game. You make such an impact, right? Your presence is felt there.
Yeah.
And even I was telling Shay too, like with Your Honor and playing Kofi Jones, like,
Yeah.
I'm watching season 2 of Your Honor right now,
Yeah.
and I'm still feeling your presence.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm still feeling you through that.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, I've actually watched a few episodes of the second season, and yeah, you know, it's very much still there. You know, even I mean, with Eugene, even still, still feeling like hurt by it, and still kind of feeling motivated to even want to do something about it. But then, now he's kind of in this other situation. So it's really interesting to see how they kind of built off of all of that.
So what was your familiarity with the process of everything with The Last of Us? Like, were you someone that had played the game? Had you taken the time? And when you got that call, that was like, okay, listen, you're going to be Henry.
Yeah.
What was that like? Who did you tell first?
Well, yes, I did play the game, so I was familiar with The Last of Us. And when I got that email from my agent, and I saw The Last of Us, and I saw HBO, and I saw Craig, and I saw Neil, I was like, okay, yeah, no, this is definitely going to be special, and it's something I want to really get in front of. The audition process is quite quick. I think I sent in a tape on Monday. By the Wednesday, I got the call that I had booked it, and on a Saturday, I was on a flight to Calgary. So it was like, it was in a week, pretty much. It was a really, really fast turnaround, and I didn't know ASL prior to even getting to Calgary. So again, everything was a sprint, but I'm really grateful for the challenge, because for me, on the other side of challenge is growth, really. So I'm just happy that I was able to learn a new skill, and just broaden my bag of things that I'm able to do.
When you look at this character, as someone that's already so established, how much freedom were you kind of given to the character to kind of make your own?
Well, they actually really encouraged us to make it our own. I know that, Bella and Pedro had that conversation with Craig, and him saying, yeah, I don't want you guys to play the game. Reason being is because Craig did such a great job with the script that everything is on paper. You know what I'm saying? Everything from the game that you love is on the page, and all you got to do is just be as honest and honor what is on the page, and kind of just like bring it to life, really. And all those nuances and everything will already be there. So we did have a lot of freedom to make it our own, especially for me, knowing the game. I did want to honor Henry and the actor who played Henry in the game, but I also didn't want to make a carbon copy of it. I wanted to also make it fresh and make it mine, and still kind of have some ownership over that role and where Henry goes in his arc, because it is slightly different in the show. So with that, I kind of wanted to, just take ownership of it and really kind of be like, okay, cool. I understand the arc. I understand the sentiments. I understand where it needs to go. Now with this new added information, this new added backstory, this new added just context to Henry and Sam and sort of their story, I can sort of lend myself to that and kind of give whatever it is that I give, which is the reason why I got the job, So I just trusted in my instincts, trusted in my ability, and just tried to do service to Craig and to Neil and the show.
Everyone's already been praising your performance, so that's amazing. And what I love about this show so much, and your performance as well, is people like us who love the game, who've played the game, I can still differentiate the two characters. I can see the video game actor and how that performance went, but then I see yours, and I'm like, it's so different, it's so raw. And in one episode, you made me cry so much. I met you in one episode pretty much, and I cried in one.
The other one, yeah.
I don't know if I'm mad at you or if I'm happy with you.
Yeah, I mean, Henry in the video game, I mean, I think ultimately we're both the same in sort of our motivations, right? Which is protect Sam at all costs. We're both very similar in our motivations, but I think with the show, it's sort of allowed not only me, but the audience to also get a bit more insight on the one-on-one relationship with Henry and Sam. You really kind of saw and felt the love and the passion that they both have for one another, especially Henry for Sam, and understanding that, especially with the sacrifice that he makes to keep Sam alive, you can really tell the love that he has for him. He's willing to do any and everything to keep his brother alive. And I think it just kind of gives you a bit more insight on this human being, this person that lives in this bleak world, that is sort of the sole caretaker and provider for his little brother, that wasn't deaf in the game, but that is now deaf in the show. So not only did he have leukemia, not only is he deaf, but also we're living in this world that, we can die at any time. And we have Kathleen and the revolutionaries. So there is just so much that I think I'm so happy that the show also showed, it actually shows everybody that way. It shows everybody, are they a hero? Are they a bad person? We don't know. Moral decisions are kind of skewed in this world because it's really about survival, you know? And I really love the title of this episode, which is Endure and Survive, because everybody is trying to do that. That's literally what everyone's trying to do. So, yeah, I think it just built the relationship of Henry and Sam even more so. And you really just kind of got to feel for these characters.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because that's something we've been discussing the show every single week on the movie podcast, and the idea of perspective. We get a different perspective in this episode, right?
Yeah.
We get to see a lot of the events that we've seen in the previous episode, but from Sam and Henry's perspective. And I love that, you know, your very first line to Sam is just like, "Look at me, not at all of that," right?
Yeah.
Like from the very get go, you're all about protecting your brother, and because you know he cannot. In this world, he's not able to hear the events that are going on around him, right? And I think it adds such an interesting layer to their relationship, because and also pressure, and I think what makes your performance stand out so much in this episode is that a lot of your performance is done through, you know, sign language, so you're not even having like the words
to speak, add no word,
communicate normally, right? So I just again I just want to commend you on your performance in that, because you convey so much with just so many looks and just these moments, especially that moment of Henry and Sam hugging.
Yeah.
You just feel the million thoughts in your head, and you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he does have the weight of the world on his shoulders in that moment, you know. But also, he has to be strong for his little brother. You know, he can't really show Sam that he's, you know, scared. You know, it's kind of what Edelstein said. He's like, I mean, he's scared because you're scared. You know, but ultimately, I was trying my best to not be scared, but through me trying my best to not look like I'm scared, I'm physicalizing my you know what I'm saying, so it's a very interesting thing. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to show humanity in this person. Even though he made tough decisions, you know, he pretty much gave a life for a life, you know, Kathleen's brother for the life of his little brother, and it's a tough decision to make. But ultimately, especially, I mean, I really love that scene when he's connecting with Joel, because I think ultimately Joel would make the same decision if he was met with that same ultimatum, essentially, to protect Sarah. He would have made it, you know. So I think it's really great that, you know, Henry and Joel can sort of relate that way, because, you know, we both had to make some tough decisions to survive in this world, and sort of, you know, do our best to protect the ones that we love. So yeah, no, there's a really beautiful relatability there between Henry and Joel.
Support for the movie podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who have trusted Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code MoviePod at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 14 million balls.
You know what I didn't know I needed, but I needed is an LED light on my shaver.
Oh my God.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
There is darkness, especially around that area. It works so well. You can really pinpoint all the hairs, and you're like, okay, I got this point. Because hair kind of like starts to mesh and you really don't see it properly. But with this LED light, it's super bright and you can get everything precision cut.
It's a 4000K LED spotlight, so you are literally putting a spotlight to your genitals down there to make sure you're treating them as you should.
The skin safe proprietary technology that they use for the lawnmower is really good. Like I was always a little hesitant going down there, and then I felt safe. I felt like there was protection there.
Manscaped just makes it so easy to choose a tool, whatever you're using, be it the beard trimmer, the lawnmower, the weed whacker, and it just feels like there is like this accessibility to it that I absolutely love.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code MoviePod at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use code MoviePod. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job at Manscaped.
Your balls will thank you.
Your balls will thank you.
Your balls will thank you.
You mentioned obviously, the show shot in Calgary, which is amazing to see production done in Canada.
Yeah.
I'm curious, because the show's dealing with such heavy themes throughout, what does downtime look for you? Like, were you able to, I know this is also during the pandemic, so
yeah,
were you able to like just hang out with Pedro and Bella and actually just hang out and do fun stuff, or was it kind of just more like we were on set, we're doing our thing, and when that's done, we kind of go home to our own?
They fought infected people.
They thought, in fact,
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, to be honest, we had such long hours on set that by the time we were done our days, we kind of just wanted to go home. It was either time for bed or we were shooting night shows in the morning, so we kind of wanted to go to bed. So there wasn't there wasn't much hanging out outside of set, but we spent so much time on set that we really bonded on set. You know, we were cracking a lot of jokes and especially because the material's so heavy. Just really grateful for Pedro specifically for just keeping a real great amount of levity that was on set between a lot of the hard stuff that we had to do, you know? And for me, honestly, if I wasn't on set, I was at home doing homework, learning sign for, there was just so much homework for me that, I really just kind of locked in. Up until maybe I would say my second month, I kind of finally, it's like some of the weight and that pressure sort of lifted off my shoulders. I'm like, okay, I got through most of this. I'm feeling good now. Now I can sort of loosen up a little bit. And that's kind of when I started maybe if I had an early day, I'll go out for dinner, with maybe a friend or something, or I would, but the first 2 months, I would say it was pretty tunnel vision because again, I was a fan of the game and I understood how beloved these characters are. And I wanted to do the absolute best that I possibly could and really just put my best foot forward. So for me, it was just about doing the work and doing the best work that I possibly could with the amount of time that I was given.
And working with Kayvon, what was that experience like for you?
It was amazing. I mean, he's such a special individual, this is his first time acting ever. And just working with him and just seeing the way that he emotes through his expressions and his face, it was amazing. It was such a great opportunity to have a scene partner in Kayvon. And I mean, he was even helping me with my sign. There's times where I was doing sign in the scene. He's like, oh, hey, by the way, it's this. And I'm like, oh, okay. It was great. We just helped each other, through it. And, even moments where, especially with heavy scenes and heavy moments, you know what I'm saying? I was also there for him, and it sort of was just like, hey, just feel me, just feel me and just go with what it feels like, and he did such a great job. And I'm so proud of him. Our relationship, and we bonded instantly. We met, I think it was, I flew in on this Saturday. I believe my first official day was on Sunday. We went to the production office to do a rehearsal and meet Kayvon. And as soon as we met, we're playing tag in the production offices, so that's just goes to show the bond and the relationship that we built so quickly. And then to also be able to grow that as things progressed on set. And, yeah, I mean, it was really special. It was really, really special.
We had a lot of fan excitement when people found out that you were going to be on the movie podcast. We have a bunch of questions that were written into the show, and we love to just ask you some of them. So some of the diehard fan questions right now,
Yeah.
we want to get out there.
Yeah, of course.
That's cool with you.
Of course.
So, if you knew the end arc of these characters, how much more difficult did it make it to kind of form this bond that you just spoke about, how amazing this bond was with Kayvon? How difficult was that process to kind of make this knowing your inevitable ending?
Yeah. I actually, of course, knowing the arc and knowing where these characters are going, but in the moment, I try my best to be present and not actually, kind of foresee the future because Henry wouldn't know, right? So
Right.
Even though I do know the context, Henry wouldn't. So that's not in the back of my mind as I'm building this relationship, as I'm doing these scenes, because I feel like it sort of kills the joy and the presence of those scenes. If I'm sort of in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, I really want this, but man, this is tough because he's going to die anyways. I try to just be like, hey, listen, Sam is here. He's in front of me. And my job is to protect him, and that was really ultimately the only thing that I was thinking about. But then obviously, as the scene kept coming closer onto the schedule, it was sort of like, oh, okay, all right, well, damn, this is tough. I remember Jeremy, who's the director of episodes 4 and 5, when Ellie and Sam had that scene in the room when Sam reveals that he was bit. Him and I were at the monitor watching that scene, and we both cried. We were both crying because, we spent so much time, building this relationship, not only with Sam, but also with Bella and with Pedro and just with everyone on set, the crew. We all just became a family. And, to have to stomach that moment and sort of knowing that it's coming up and knowing how important that moment is. I mean, it was a tough thing, but it's part of my job, and I just sort of stepped into it, just sort of, just embracing that moment, and just knowing that as long as I just was present and allowed everything, because everything was provided for me. The set decoration was there. Bella, Pedro, Kevon, all of them were there. Kevon was in his makeup. Like, literally everything was there for me. So all I had to do was just be present and react to everything that's happening in real time.
Yeah. And that's perfect. That's a perfect segue to the next question. So we had somebody write in saying, do you think Ellie should have told Joel and Henry about Sam being infected as soon as she found out? How does he think Henry would have reacted if he found out right away?
Yeah, that's a tough question. And I've been actually thinking about that. And, well, what if she told Henry? What would Henry have done? Would Henry have had the same outcome, right? Would he have been in so much shock in that moment that he wouldn't have been able to process and ultimately end up taking his life? Would he have made that choice? And, I don't know. I mean, there's two sides to it. I think he confided in Ellie for a reason. There's a reason why he didn't. He knew he was bit from as soon as Ellie saved us, right? Why didn't he tell Henry then? Was he was scared to tell Henry? Maybe because of everything. I don't know, right? I think if Bella, maybe she did strip Henry of at least potentially having that moment to make a real decision for himself. Maybe she stripped Henry of having that last night with his brother. Maybe she, I don't know, right? But he confided in her for a reason, and I think I don't know. I think she honored him the best way that she thought she could in that moment. Wow, he confided in me, and she's been told that she's this savior, and that she's immune in her blood, whatever. Maybe she's 14 years old. She doesn't know that maybe just wiping blood on a cut, or might not do something. You might need a transfusion, or you might need to there's so many different things, and so I don't think she was even educated to know that this wouldn't work. So maybe she thought that it would work. Maybe
We wanted it to work.
Maybe she wanted to work. Maybe she thought that she was going to save the day. The next morning, Sam will be fine. And she can then say, hey, you know what? Like, I saved him. Like, he had a bite and I saved him. Like, we could do this, and maybe then Henry and Sam would be able to go to Wyoming with Joel and Ellie. I'm not sure, right? But I think with the way it ended, a lot of people, they're kind of just like, man, like Henry making that decision. But ultimately, I think a lot of people sort of understand it. Everything happened so fast. He was truly in shock. He imagine waking up and the person that you care for and you love the most kind of is a clicker. Or is turned into, and you don't know, but ultimately, that the person beside you is like a killer. So you sort of want to, your first instinct is, hey, protect him. So you try your best to protect him, but also at the same time, you want to protect Ellie because you don't know that she's immune. You don't know that she has, because no one has told you this. So you're not only wanting to protect Sam, but then at the same time, you're processing, okay, well, Sam's gone, but so now I have to protect Ellie. So then you shoot your brother, but as you shoot your brother, that's the first official person that Henry has ever killed. He says it. I've never actually killed anyone before, the only person that he might have killed is Kathleen's brother, but he didn't do it with his own hands. He killed Sam with his own hands. It was the first person. So imagine the shock and the trauma that he's processing, that's like just waves of emotion in that moment, and ultimately Sam is Henry's everything. That was his purpose. That was his will to live. And now that he no longer had him, does he have a reason to live? I don't Henry would be able to stomach living in this world without his little brother, especially after everything that he sacrificed and everything that they have went through to get to this point. It's a tough thing. I think he'd be very jaded and it would just eat him alive.
You spoke about Kathleen and what you kind of had to do in the whole, soul for soul in a way. Do you agree with Kathleen's mentality as it, pertains to the actions of your character? And would you say that you, Lamar Johnson, what would you do if you were in Kathleen's place?
Well, if I was Henry, would I be able to empathize with Kathleen? I feel like Henry would. Reason why, I feel like Henry does, which is why he's actually you can kind of see that he's still a little hurt by the decision that he made and the situation that he's in. I think he does empathize with Kathleen because, I mean, if it was flipped around, if someone killed Henry, if someone killed Sam, would he? I mean, I don't think he has the bone for the vengeance that Kathleen has, but I think ultimately he definitely feel the urge to retaliate, in some form or way, Now me as Lamar Johnson, I mean, I think if Henry was actually Lamar, I think maybe I'll try and find maybe like an alternative than to have to give a human being up.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another alternative. Maybe I can persuade someone within Fedra that is maybe a little low down. Maybe bribe him or try and get. I'm not sure, right? But I feel like there were so many different ways that I possibly could have went about it, but maybe just in that moment, Henry's back was against the wall. I'm not. There's not what I would like to believe is that Henry's back was against the wall, and he was also there wasn't a lot of time for him either, right? So he had to make a quick decision, and if it was my brother for your brother, then I choose mine. I choose that to protect mine. And that's just sort of what it is. I mean, it's a very bleak, harsh world. So sometimes you have to make very tough decisions, And for Henry, it was to protect his brother at all costs. So if that means to kill someone that he actually admires and cares for, then so be it. If that means that Sam can live and survive, it's tough. It's tough.
Thank you. You have such a passion for the character. It's amazing to see. Thank you so much, Lamar.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I absolutely love the show. I love these characters, and yeah, no, I think it's really special, especially watching as a fan, and I'm watching these episodes and truly just being affected. And even when I watched episode 5, I was so affected. I'm like, I was in this. I know I know what's gonna happen.
Next.
Yeah, I knew exactly what was gonna happen, but just see everything come together with the music and the editing and just it's just really beautiful.
It is beautiful, and we've, as we said, your performance is incredible. We're so excited to see what you get to work on, Lamar. We know you're going to be in Brother. We unfortunately didn't get to see that tip, but we're so looking forward to watching it next month. So hopefully we get to talk to you again. And I just want to say, on behalf of both of us, thank you so much for your time again today, and we cannot wait to see what you get to work on next.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lamar.
And welcome back. Shahbaz, start us off. We just got to wrap up a conversation with Lamar Johnson, who, first of all, such a lovely human. 2, is such a wonderful actor and gave so much of who he is to the role of Henry. What are your immediate thoughts now on the other side of this interview?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that we got to acknowledge that we're all Toronto men. We're all Toronto men. So I'm glad that
Yes.
was established. I think that kind of let him.
We settled down after
his
that,
guard was down. He's like, "Oh, okay, we're all Toronto men's. All right, fine. We'll have a good
yeah.
civil conversation." But I think from that point on, what I loved so much about this interview is I kind of forgot for a second that I was doing an interview because Lamar really is passionate about this character. He loves to talk about this show, and he was going off, and I was just like, okay. And I just felt like I was in the audience at that point, just listening to him. And then I was like, oh my God, I got to ask you a question. I'm so sorry to continue this conversation. I have to ask you a question. But man, it was just awesome to see him just so in love with the show, in love with the character, and also knowing that he's just kind of watching the show along with us, right now, that he doesn't kind of know what happens next because he only got those scripts that he needed, was so interesting. And I thought that it made the whole experience feel so much more connected than I thought it would.
Definitely. Anthony, how about yourself?
I would say that I was almost, because I'm editing this this piece as we're talking, but as I'm editing this interview, I just kept thinking, man, this guy is so passionate about his character and The Last of Us. He wasn't taking it as just a role or an opportunity. He was really a fan, and he had all these theories, and he kept thinking, like, what if I didn't do this, and and there's so many different roads he was going down. And I thought, man, like, for someone who's this passionate about a show, I felt like, dude, you need to start your own podcast. You need to start your own, like, your Last of Us
Hey,
after
we
show
don't need
as well.
we don't need any competition, okay?
Right, we
He has
don't.
the upper hand.
No, he can
has
be our
the upper
fourth.
hand.
He'll join us as our
Yeah, that's
fourth,
fine.
you
That's
know?
fine. He can join us.
he'll get all the cast on his after show.
No.
Lamar, no, please.
But you learn so much about like just the way he got hired, and him being like, okay, he got a phone call the next day he was in Calgary, and it's just like, bam, wow, like that's
I've
such
never heard of
wild,
casting
right?
like
It's like
that. I've never heard of
Monday-
casting like that.
Monday you do the audition, Wednesday you get the role, Saturday you're in Calgary
For
getting
2
ready to
months.
shoot. Like,
Unreal.
for 2
holy-
months.
Unreal.
My God.
And he has to learn ASL, and he has to do all these things. He was, Daniel, you mentioned that, this was happening during COVID, and you asked him, did you guys hang out? Did you? It's like, no, man, I got homework to do. I had to learn ASL. I had to do all these things. I'm like, I guess it makes sense, when you're learning a whole new language using your hands, and you're passionate about a character, you want to make sure that your translation of that character makes sense and is believable on screen. And he
Yeah,
was
of course.
so committed, and we could see it in his performance, his reactions to everything that was happening with him and his brother, the love he had with his brother, and the actual, that sad tragic scene at the end really pays off on, man, this guy really took everything he had to give his all for that performance.
Yeah, it's there's such a weight to his character, and anyone who's played the games knows Henry and Sam. And I think going into this interview and after seeing the show, it's like, how could they have possibly made the events of the game even sadder? And they found a way to do it. And I think, again, it's just a testament to the incredible writing. And again, as we keep saying, as I keep saying in our after shows, this isn't an adaptation of the show. This really is an expansion, and it really is just like a rejuvenization of what we've seen of The Last of Us. It's adapting it, I think, for today, and I think all of the decisions that they've made so far have been incredible. And I think having, casting Sam as Deaf, and having Henry having to be the one who looks after him, and to literally not just look after him, but to also be his ears, and also to have the weight of the world on his shoulders. I mean, I think you see that on Lamar's face throughout the show, that he is just a man who has the world on his shoulders and a target on his back.
Yeah, no, that I was just gonna mention that part, that I've never heard of casting where it's within a week. Like usually we always hear stories that it took like a month or 2 months. I didn't hear back, and then Lamar's like, yeah, so I got pretty much like I got like a text like, hey man, you up? We're
Yeah.
shooting Last of Us, like
Free?
like come on down to Calgary. We're just gonna quickly shoot this thing, and he shot it for like 2 months. Like I can't imagine just uprooting my life in a matter of days to just go shoot. Like, oh man, I had a birthday on Friday. I guess I'm not gonna make it to that. But you know what? For The Last of Us, I get it. I totally get it.
Definitely. I mean, what a performance, what a show. We're absolutely loving our time with it. I want to say once again, thank you to our friends at Crave Canada for making this interview happen for us. We adore the show. We cannot wait to keep talking about it. Make sure you tune in every Sunday night at 10 p.m. for the Last of Us After Show here on the Movie Podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on all podcast services. There's so many ways that you could watch and support the show. And of course, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. Join our Discord. We're having some great conversations in there. The episodes in the Movie Podcast may end, but the conversation does not have to stop there. Join our Discord. We're having a spoiler room open so we could talk all about The Last of Us. We're having a great time doing that. And of course, tune in every single Monday for a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast where we talk about the news, trailers, everything we've been watching, and so much more. There's some incredible episodes out right now. Ant-Man review, Catherine Newton interview, and we have a lot more coming your way. So make sure you tune in for all of that and more. That was this time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.